All rise. 4th District County Court, Latham, Massachusetts is now in session. The Honorable Judge Arthur Vandelay presiding.
Vandelay? The judge's name is Vandelay?
Vander who?
Jerry, did you hear that? Yeah. I think that's a good sign.
Is the district attorney ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
Mr. Hoyt?
Ladies and gentlemen, last year, our city council, by a vote of 12 to 2, passed a Good Samaritan law. Now, essentially, we made it a crime to ignore a fellow human being in trouble. Now, this group from New York not only ignored, but as we will prove, they actually mocked the victim as he was being robbed at gunpoint. I can guarantee you one other thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the first time they have behaved in this manner. On the contrary, they have quite a record of mocking and maligning. This is a history of selfishness, self-absorption, immaturity, and greed. And you will see how everyone who has come into contact with these 4 individuals has been abused, wronged, deceived, and betrayed. This time, they have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable. This time, they are the ones who will pay.
Everyone who comes into contact with these 6 individuals has been abused and betrayed. This is Seinfeld finale spoilers.
Woo!
I really should have just gone with my gut, which was, what's the deal with bad season finales? But, hello everyone, Seinfeld finale spoilers. Before we get to our opening question, which everyone's been given time to think about a whole day, I just wanted to address something. This is not a movie like we usually do. Typically we're doing movies, and we've done a few TV series in the past with Mando and what are some other ones, guys? We did a lot of Game of Thrones.
Lovecraft Country.
Ooh, that's a
the
good
Book
one.
of Boba Fett. Oh, Lovecraft Country.
That was a good episode.
We've done a lot of TV, but it's not our usual thing, right? We typically do films, and the whole reason I chose this was like an original idea back when I first joined Spoilers. I was really thinking about like how could a given episode really encompass what a spoiler is, which is like giving away the ending to something. So that idea took me to like, why don't we just do a season finale of something instead of like a whole series to like essentially spoil the whole TV show. So that's what we're attempting to do tonight. It's the finale, but really we can talk about the entire TV show, Seinfeld. And guys, your opening question is, what is your favorite episode of Seinfeld? And we'll go east to west, and I will let you all sort that shit out as we move along the country. East to west.
East to west.
Well, I guess I'll go. I'm not very happy right now, but I'll get mine out of the way. This is Brett from Fort Wayne. My favorite's The Comeback. Next.
Why aren't you happy?
This is Brett, recording from Fort Wayne. My favorite episode of Seinfeld is the Comeback. I didn't realize it was such a popular episode. It was number 1 on one list I saw today. That's why they call him Mr. Mainstream, by the way, in case you didn't know.
You're mad about Mr. Mainstream?
It's 4...
Dude!
It's a 4-quadrant episode. All 4 storylines are really funny, in my opinion. You got one of the funniest, the tennis with Milos. Oh, you can't mess with the Milos. I love Elaine doing the picks, the movie picks. I don't remember who the guy is.
Brett.
It turns out to be a little kid. Yes.
What was Milos's little like tick? Was he always like talking shit, but then he was like the worst tennis player ever?
Yeah.
Is that like what that bit was?
His wife, who's a lot younger than him, she thinks he's like good at tennis, which is crazy because if you have eyes, you could tell he's terrible. and he asks Jerry to take a dive for him, but he can't just take a dive and be humble. He's like, oh, it's not good enough for the Milos. And he's just terrible. And then all of a sudden, Jerry starts killing him because he's tired of it.
Too good. Another game for Milos! You're on fire today.
Hey, Pappy, look at this guy. He's awful. He's not a man, this Jerry. He's not even married like I am. Look at the big baby. Hey, big baby, are you wetting yourself? Maybe it is time for you to be changed.
Told you to cut it out.
I feel like I recall a line of him saying, like, gonna pull down your pants and spank you or something.
Oh, yeah, spank you, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, yeah, please continue.
And then the famous part of that, which is where the name from, is that's the Jerk Store episode. Yeah, the Jerk Store call, and they're running out of you. Oh, you know, you're their bestseller.
Classic.
And then Kramer's trying not to get his concussion, and he gets hit with the tennis balls at the end. It's just a really, really funny episode.
Don't forget about the I had sex with your wife.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had sex with his wife's in a coma. Yeah, it's a great, great episode.
I would not have guessed that was like the number one episode. What list was that, Brett?
It's, I looked at two other lists, and it was Variety. I've looked at, it's high on the other lists, like top 10, top 20, but I was definitely surprised it was number one. It's definitely number one, I guarantee you, because of the Jerk Store. Like, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
He gets fired, he eats all the shrimp, and it's just really funny. I actually remember watching it, I think, on Josh's computer in college. Or his TV, I don't know. It's really funny. But
I remember
episode.
James Weber saying that at one point and really cracking me up. Just random memory.
Sounds like something he would say.
I always thought the contest was maybe like the most famous episode, and that kind of looms large in this one. So that's what I would have guessed was at the top of that list, Brett. But
yeah, I always say I think there's three most famous episodes. I'll wait till the end. Like,
fair enough.
To say them because I don't want to take anything.
Yeah, let's keep moving along. Do you guys know who's next?
Yeah, I think I'm next. This is Pappy, recording again from Goshen, Indiana. I had the Seinfeld DVDs. I think I got them in high school, and it was funny because like each of the little cases had like one of the characters like doing a pose on it.
Salt shakers.
And, yeah, between that and like TBS is where I watched the most Seinfeld by far. But there's one I remember from when I was a kid, and it was the first episode of Seinfeld I had ever seen. It's season 9, episode 18, called The Frogger.
Oh gosh.
And George has the high score on a Frogger machine at a pizzeria, and he buys the Frogger machine. And I think the B plot is Elaine is like eats the cake of her boss or something. Like the B plot's not as good, but I remember being a kid and seeing George move the Frogger machine across the road as the music's playing, like just laughing so hard I was like in tears, crying. So for nostalgia reasons, I'll say that. But when I had the DVDs, I remember season 4 was always my favorite season to go through. I feel like there's just so many bangers in that season.
I'll go.
I think, you know what's weird? I think Pappy picks me up on the way if he's going to take me to your house,
That works.
Stevie. So, but then I think we just go straight north from there. So why don't you go ahead and go?
Okay, this is Stevie. Like, yeah, I'm with Pap. I think the first episode of Seinfeld I ever saw when I was younger, man, I'm even trying to think. Maybe The Fatigues?
Ooh, what's that?
Isn't that where Elaine hires the like Vietnam assistant, and Jay Peterman is like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah, that's
yeah,
called
the guy who
Fatigues,
like
Stevie.
is writing like poetry about murder for the catalog. But I absolutely love this series so much, but it's also one of those things where I can identify a favorite episode of mine. It's a comfort episode of mine. I watch it all the time. I quote it all the time. and that's The Race.
Oh, yeah.
That's my all-time favorite. It's actually a Jerry-focused episode, which is, I mean, it's not a rarity in the series, but there's not a whole lot where, like, he's the main plot of everything. It has a villain, which is Duncan Meyer. You know, they play Superman music. There's a damsel in distress. Elaine's dating a communist who she gets blacklisted from his favorite Chinese restaurant. Kramer falls under communism as a Santa in the mall and gets kicked out with Mickey. Like, there's not a whole lot of fat on this episode. It's it's a very clean episode. And I think it's the funniest one.
You got me blacklisted at Hop Sings.
and Ned Isakoff looks just like Charlie Sheen in The Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
I will go next.
Is he a sweaty man?
Oh, sorry. Kylo, if you have Seinfeld inputs, please put them in, because I don't know how many you're going to have. I feel like you've watched at least Seinfeld here, so.
Yeah, I don't know jack shit about Seinfeld, but you can go on to Mikey.
It's me
sorry.
next,
Hey, Josh.
actually. Josh.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I actually kind of connect with that story because I think I still hold our high school's record for the 12-minute run and how many laps were ran. For the simple reason was the person who was counting my laps didn't count right, and there was no physical way that I could have ran as many as they said.
Don't admit that, Stevie.
Yeah, you're ruining
No,
the legend.
the funniest
as we
thing
know.
is people were questioning it, and someone who wasn't even counting screamed out, "No, it's true. I saw it."
It was Pappy.
No,
Who was counting?
I can't give out a name, but if I said the name, a few of you would laugh really hard.
Stevie, we always milk the name out of you. This is such a fruitless endeavor. Oh, I'm not going to say.
No,
Does it start with a Q?
Yeah.
No, but he still owes Pappy a lot of money. But yeah,
Coming for you,
I mean, I
Quentin.
think I was like,
Gosh.
yeah, I think I still hold a high school record for the 12-minute run.
So he yells out, "Ready, on your mark, get set," and I was so keyed up, I just took off. By the time he said go, I was 10 yards ahead of everybody.
I looked up. I couldn't believe it.
By the time the race was over and I had won, I was shocked. Nobody had noticed the head start.
Really?
Yes, and I had won by so much, a myth began to grow about my speed. Only Duncan suspected something was amiss. He's hated me ever since. And now he's back.
Well, what happened when you raced him again?
I never did. In 4 years of high school, I would never race anyone again. Not even to the end of the block or to catch a bus. And so the legend grew. Everyone wanted me to race. They begged me. The track coach called my parents, pleading, telling them that it was a sin for me to waste my God-given talent. But I answered him in the same way I answered everyone. I choose not to run.
Okay. I love that story, Stevie. Thank you for speaking up,
Yes.
putting that out there. Josh from Goshen. My favorite episode is called The Voice. And I didn't realize this. It's actually from season 9. And I don't think season 9 is like necessarily my favorite. But yeah, there's a silly joke with Jerry where his girlfriend's stomach has a voice. Doesn't make any sense, but it's just like, I love that side of Jerry, just like whimsical Jerry. Putty is in it with Elaine, so I love that aspect of it. George's part is hilarious because he's like hell-bent on like, it's when he's with like the sports company and he's in the midst of like pretending he's like disabled, but they've already found that out. So now they're forcing him to the basement, but he keeps trying to like climb through the rafters to the bathroom and stuff because he misses his private bathroom. I don't know. It's just wacky as hell. And then ultimately Kramer, he has Kramerica Industries in this episode, and he has an intern. And one of the ideas he has is like, I can't help but giggle when I say all of this, but one of his ideas is ketchup and mustard in the same bottle.
Oh, gross.
Genius. That shouldn't be that funny.
His big idea that he's pursuing the whole episode is that oil ships, when they sail across the ocean, they shouldn't just like have oil in there unprotected. Each ship should have its own blubber, like its own rubber seal ball. And so to test out the idea, of course, what you want to do is drop a rubbered ball full of oil out of George's window in the middle of the city. So I don't want to spoil that episode for anyone, but everything culminates. All 4 storylines come together when a giant ball of oil is dropped out of a tall building. It's great.
I can't. I gotta meet Claire.
You gave up the voice?
Yeah, that was stupid. Unless you guys are liking it again.
No.
Darren?
Sorry, Mr. Seinfeld.
Wow. Hey, there's Claire. I better go down.
Hey, it's Kramer and Darren.
Hey, there's the giant ball of oil. Claire's right underneath that thing. Claire! Hello! Hello! Hello!
I don't believe this. I'm not looking up if you're going to do that voice.
Bombs away! This is going to be a shame.
Hello. Well, that didn't work. Hey, how about this? Ketchup and mustard in the same bottle.
Oh, that sounds interesting, sir.
Yeah.
What's crazy is when Stevie and I talk on the phone every day, for at least 10 years, we've always greeted each other with hello!
Every time.
From that episode.
People say hello in so many different ways. Like, would you even recognize that as a Seinfeld quote in the wild?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Like there's 2 hellos in Seinfeld. One is Uncle Leo and one is the voice. Like those are the.
What's Uncle Leo's
Jerry.
like?
Hello. Jerry, hello. Or hello.
Yeah, I was going to say hello Newman
Yeah.
is one too.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Jerry.
Oh, man. My least favorite episode of Seinfeld is probably the finale, but let's keep moving on over to Mikey in Chicago.
Hey, it's Mikey in Chicago. Looking through this list here of the best episodes, people think Seinfeld is about Seinfeld. No, you're wrong. It's about George, because George is Larry David. And the best George episode is when he's doing the opposite of everything he would naturally do. And he's just picking up chicks. and he's just crushing life because he's just being himself for once. And he's not lying constantly. I think that's a hilarious premise, and that's a great episode. And then, like, my all-time favorite moment in an episode is just one quick Kramer thing in the Serenity Now episode where he gets a screen door and he's just like sitting in the hallway and he's saying goodbye to Jerry and he's like, all right, y'all come back real soon. And Jerry slams the door on him before he even finishes the sentence.
Hello? Is Kramer home? Oh, hey.
Hello, neighbor.
Boy, those azaleas are really coming in nicely.
Oh, you got to mulch. You've got to.
You barbecuing tonight?
Yeah, right after the fireworks.
So, where do you want to eat tonight?
Well, how about going back to La Caridad?
Again? How much flan can a person eat?
Jerry, you've been yelling at me all afternoon.
Well, I don't think more flan is the answer.
Maybe I should just leave.
Maybe.
Goodbye.
Double goodbye.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Happy New Year.
You all come back real?
I die every time. It's my all-time favorite scene. It's either George Kramer or Jerry Stiller's character that like those are like I think the funniest episodes or have the funniest jokes in them.
Mikey, whose Skype avatar is Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry's the most boring person on the show. It's kind of crazy.
He's my favorite character. He always has been.
That's wild.
I don't think so.
Let's keep moving on. We'll talk more about characters later. Kylo, last but not least.
Yep, this is Corey, Kylo Ren Memes. I'm recording out of Simi Valley, California. Josh. And I'm not a big Seinfeld fan. Like, it's on sometimes in my household because my wife watches it, but I don't actively watch it or really shows like this. I like the one where Kramer punches the clown and he goes, "Look, a fist." It's a great moment in Seinfeld history. Now that's Problem Child, of course. I like the Seinfeld meme where it's all red and Jerry's like, "What's going on in there?"
Rogers.
And then it's like, oh, it's always something
Kenny
different.
Rogers Roasters.
Kenny Rogers Roasters.
What's going on in there?
What?
That light.
Oh, the red. Yeah, it's a chicken roaster sign. It's right across from my window.
Can't you shut the shades?
They are shut.
That's a pretty good meme. I see that a lot. It kind of like crosses over into like all fandoms. You see all kinds of memes of that. And I like the It's Always Sunny episode where they are doing like Seinfeld for like 5 minutes and it's like an exact recreation of Jerry's apartment. And both Dennis and Mac are Jerry and they're dressed exactly the same and they have the same Jerry hair. That, like, 90s classic Jerry Seinfeld hair. That's a good one. That's all I got. I don't know any episodes. I know like some beats of episodes. Like I know some that I'll bring up later as like an example. Like I know like one plot point, but like not all the jokes really that go into that episode. I'm more of a Curb Your Enthusiasm guy.
When was the last time you guys like sat down and watched besides today?
It's been a while.
I haven't watched an episode of Seinfeld start to finish in like years, Mikey. Like probably 5
I'll go
years.
through.
Yeah, same.
I'll go through blocks, and I discovered an episode a couple years ago that I don't think I'd seen, and it made me laugh so much. It's where George is trying to get the apartment, so he tells his life story. It's like the shipwreck one.
The Andrea Doria?
Yes, that's what it is.
Stevie, I love you.
I've seen this
Ready
show
to
a
chime
lot,
in
man.
with the titles.
I've seen this show a lot.
We had it on repeat in college. It's been a fun one to go back in a lot of different stages of life. But this episode, like a lot of them, starts off with an opening monologue. It's basically Jerry saying, like, what's the deal with sitting? Like, when you're invited to an office meeting, everyone's got to be like, we really need to have a sit-down talk. And I got to say, guys, his jokes have never come off really well in these opening monologues with these episodes. Seinfeld is like the greatest show of all time to me. And I feel like part of the charm is seeing like a mediocre comedian at the beginning. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's too much.
I can't.
I don't know. I like him a lot more as I've gotten older.
I can't tell you how
This one isn't good,
I thought it was always supposed to like represent him just like workshopping stuff. Like
Which makes
as
sense.
a comedian. Like they're
This
not supposed to be
definitely isn't his
bangers.
best
The
one.
the episode is the banger joke, but this is like him just
I thought-
going through stuff.
I thought some of the jokes in the first 5 minutes were all kind of flat. Thought it was kind of a slow start, but obviously it picks up. But
Josh,
Brett, you like his opening monologue as normally in episodes? Is that like a highlight for you? I mean,
no, but I can't believe you called Jerry Seinfeld a mediocre.
No,
stand-up.
listen. Have you guys heard his stand-up special? I'm telling you for the last time.
Yeah, that's where he
okay.
was doing those jokes for last time.
He does almost all of these jokes, and that stand-up is awesome. But something about just like the format and the music and where you're at when you're watching the show, it just comes off flat.
Yeah, you want to get to the show. I mean, it doesn't bother me like it did when I was. But I don't know. I think they're funny. They're not very. It's not very long. He used to do it throughout the whole episode, right at the very beginning.
Yeah,
different.
like it would cut in a lot of different times. Yeah. Stevie, what do you think about the opening monologues? You've watched a lot of Seinfeld.
I've
Where you
seen
at
these
with it?
episodes countless times. I cannot tell you how one of these opens or what they're about. Like my brain does not hold on to them. I can't tell you one of the jokes.
What's the deal with?
I can't tell you. Like I cannot tell you how they start or how they finish or when people laugh, or I can't tie them to an episode either. I just know when I start an episode, that's really not part of it. I mean, I don't like them.
I think it's wild that Jerry Seinfeld is Brett's favorite character. I'm not like going at you for that, but it's like everyone around him is what makes the show for me. Like he's kind of like famously not even a good actor, you know, like within the show. He's just
What
kind
do
of
you
himself.
mean I'm not a good actor?
He was fantastic in B Movie, okay? Fantastic.
Just think he's the funniest. I usually like what I call the straight man, and he's more of the straight man than the other people. That's the type of character.
I love it when Jerry like pouts or he like tries to act. It's so endearing and funny. I'm kind of with Brett on this. He is up there for me.
It's like, yes, there's fun. It's like, let me use this. I know this is not a very good timely reference, but like that 70s show, there's a lot of really funny characters that are always talking. They're always yelling. They're, the George Costanzas or whatever, the Kelsos. But I've always thought Eric was the funniest character because he's the most normal. And it's just, those are the types of characters that I gravitate to. And I mean, George, he's like a rage monster. He's always yelling. He's the type of character he could never be my favorite character.
You're a rage monster, Brett.
It's like Napoleon.
Yeah, nobody's watching my life.
I would love to.
Somebody mentioned in the opening question, it was Mikey, that this show is really about George. And I think that's true, especially from time to time. But what season did Larry David depart? Season 6 or 7 or something?
I think after season 6.
I think this is an apt time to actually get into the Jerry George relationship, because that's the first thing that happens in the like actual plot of the finale episode. It's George and Jerry. They're in a booth in Monk's Diner, of course. It's classic. But I gotta say, like, this is one of the bad parts of a really bad episode. Like, George is not coming off well to me here at the beginning. This isn't classic George to me. And I feel like Larry David not being on the show at this time. Did he come back to write the finale? Not that I'm aware of. Is something off about George in this opening scene, you guys?
I watch a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm, especially recently, Josh. And seeing George like lean over to the table next to him and ask if he could use their ketchup, and then being like, nah, we're going to use it from time to time. Sorry. I just kept thinking about how like Larry David would not stand for that. Like this would not end there. He would not just kindly turn around. Like it would be like some fucking...
It's an episode.
It would be a huge thing. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, this is like the toned down version of Larry David. I know you guys were saying George is Larry, but like it's not the Larry David character. Maybe more so like the real life Larry David, because it would have been a whole thing, don't you think?
I agree, but it also feels like he's almost covering too much ground. He's got the whole catch-up gimmick. He talks about popcorn for a while. He starts yelling.
I feel like this opening was written by AI.
Oh, he talks about movies.
Corey, I think
he just starts yelling, I want my 15 minutes of fame. Like, that comes from nowhere.
I think that's the point. I think he's kind of giving up. It's almost seemed like he's giving up, Corey. I think that's maybe why he doesn't, because I feel like he usually would go off on somebody, but that's like the whole point of when the show gets picked up again. He's like, George is back. I don't know. That's how I thought of it.
I'm trying to confirm this in the credits of the episode, but there's a million fucking actors. But according to IMDb, this was written by Larry David. Sole writing credit on the episode.
That's a shame.
That is a shame.
Yeah, it is.
How do you feel about the clip show being the episode before this?
We don't talk about the clip show, Mikey.
The clip show is bad.
All clip shows are bad because they used to be good before the advent of TV shows on DVD. Like, you didn't get to watch them all the time. You had to wait for them to show back up on TV. And then now with streaming, it's like, when there's a clip show on, it's like the most devastating thing in the world. Luckily, they don't really do it that much. They don't really do it that much anymore.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
It's 9/11, a clip show. It's the most devastating event of our times. Now, clip shows suck. I was wondering, Brett, based on what you said, though, right, would a clip show would have been a good thing at the time Seinfeld was airing? Like, would people have been happy about it back then? Because that's kind of before DVDs, right?
Yeah, it's kind of right around that time. I mean, I guess. I mean, my Uncle John.
It has like outtakes and stuff. Right?
Videotaped every episode, so
Dude,
you had that
Friends.
avenue.
Friends was the king of clip
I
shows.
know. Every season, in the last 5 seasons, there's at least one clip show. I think it's just like, I don't know, to take a day off. I don't know. I don't like it. But to answer your question, Corey, it would have been right around that time. I mean, right before that. So maybe. I don't know. Maybe they wanted you to see all these old characters, but then again, they turn around and kind of show you again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't
like that though. I do
bad.
like the quick flashback of what those people were.
Yeah, this could have been the clip show.
Yes,
they didn't need
agree.
it.
It's weird that they did it both.
Yeah.
Like that.
So disappointed to hear Larry David was the writer on this because George doesn't seem quite right to me, but I digress.
It says Larry David wrote the whole episode.
I believe it. I just wonder what kind of mood they're in writing the finale for this. It's just really bizarre, and we'll get to some more of the bizarreness, I think, as we move along.
Was it just like they were under so much pressure, you know? Like, this was like the biggest television event of the decade, right? When it was happening.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it was just, how do we wrap this up? And just, you know, maybe you hadn't been writing on it for a few years. I don't know.
It's part of
You're
the
right, it feels
joke,
off.
taking the piss out of it, and so really embracing that.
That's what it feels like. Like, there's no way your expectations are gonna live, or the show is gonna live up to your expectations. So just not try.
Feels
I
like
guess.
it was written in spite.
Not try, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll come back and write an episode for you. Sure, fuckheads.
Yeah, here's the middle finger.
One episode.
and it's gonna be a quarter clip show as well.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get the full Larry David.
We get some really inconsequential Elaine and Kramer stuff. Elaine is busy inquiring about a friend's dad's health. Kramer is like getting water out of his ear, like trying to visit the beach. He keeps smelling something in the air at the beginning of the episode. It's kind of bizarre, but I think the main thrust of this finale part 1, even though we're covering this as one episode, is that like everything kind of George and Jerry have been hoping will happen in their careers all of a sudden starts to unfold at a rapid rate.
That's an earlier plot in the show, right? Where they have the Jerry. It's like season 4.
Yeah,
season
so
5.
They reference 5 years ago, so that would have been Stevie, season 4.5, 5, bleeding into 5.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Seinfeld doesn't go to a lot of different locations. Like, I think that they go to LA for those ones, right? Or is Kramer out there
They're
already?
I think
they're in New York.
Jerry goes. Or is it just Kramer? No, but there's a whole like end of the season where someone goes to LA. Right?
Yeah, they
Season
go to
5?
get Kramer, I thought.
Yeah,
It's LA. Nobody leaves. Stevie.
Josh.
Do you think there's a different, better finale in here if the whole finale continues on this plight of them kind of getting the shot of their dreams and maybe like in a weird way Seinfeld becoming the real Seinfeld or something?
Absolutely not. That's the hokiest shit in the world.
No, wrong.
No.
Wrong. It would have been amazing.
If you want to land this
That
episode,
would have been cool.
it lands with them dying in a plane crash.
Well, it's true because none of them nothing good ever happened to them. It did, and then they'd lose it.
Yes.
So
There was just fleeting moments. The whole series is fleeting moments.
Definitely.
I think them dying in a plane crash was probably Larry David's actual idea that he wanted to land.
I don't think I would have liked that.
I would have loved that. I think that's a perfect way to end this series. It's them dying in a private jet, going to like live out their dreams. That's awesome.
It's funny you mention them dying because that's like what they did in It's Always Sunny at the end of one of the seasons. They all died. And then it was revealed that they weren't actually dead, of course, But it was also done in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, Larry died at the end of one of them and then came back, right?
And there's also that episode where Cheryl was going down on a plane. She called Larry, and he was complaining about the TiVo. That's what sparked their divorce. She was like, I'm going to go down.
Matthew McConaughey?
I'm going down in a plane crash. And he's like, I can't figure out this TiVo. This guy won't show up.
Yeah, it was McConaughey.
That also reminds me of, what's that movie, Brett? A Serious Man? Where he's like, the kid's always trying to find Goof Troop on TV, no matter if a tornado's coming through the town or not.
Goof Troop.
What do you think, Pat?
Is it Goof Troop?
What's your best idea for a good finale?
Yeah, I mean, I think the meta would have been better than this. I don't think that, I'm actually kind of am with Stevie. Like, them having a happy ending wouldn't necessarily been good. I don't know. I wish they almost just went like full show about nothing. Like, just like literally nothing happens in the episode. Like, just strip everything away. Like, that would have been better. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. This is probably like one of my least favorite episodes of the whole series. Pretty much anything we spitball here, I think I would have liked.
Have you seen you see Jerry and Larry like argue about it?
Who?
About the episode? Like Seinfeld has said multiple times that he did not like how they wrapped up the series, and Larry David has gone to bat for it every time. They even do a joke in something, I don't know, Seinfeld 2009. I don't know what that is, but
Curb.
Jerry says, Larry, we already screwed up one finale. We can't do another. And then Larry replies, we didn't screw up a finale. That was a good finale. So
Oof.
That was probably the Curb Your Enthusiasm Seinfeld reunion.
No, in that, Larry says the ending wasn't good. So
how conflicted is this guy?
It would have been cool if it was just like another episode where just another weird plot and subplot, and it just comes off as just any other episode and nothing to imply that it was like the end of the entire series.
And maybe that's why Larry David is pissed, because they kind of forced them to write it as a finale or something. I don't know.
I think the finale episode is like a marketing thing, right? It's like you want to be like, this is the final one. Everyone's got to watch it. Like they do that in comics a lot when like a run's going to end. They'll be like, this, you got to read the last issue. And I think his name's Robert Kirkland, the guy who does The Walking Dead. Something like that.
Kirkman,
yeah. Kirkman is a guy. He did this thing that was really unique in the comic industry when The Walking Dead ended, the comic run. Where there was literally no announcement. People were just reading the comics. They got the latest one, and it just ended. It just at the very end, the comic just ended, and it was one of the most ballsy moves in comics, because people are always trying to sell the ending, and that's probably what they try to do with shows as well. You got to sell the ending. It's the finale. Tune in for the finale, especially at a time when people were actually sitting in front of a TV watching it at a certain time after work.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, have you guys ever seen the pictures of Times Square? There was just a ton of people watching the Seinfeld finale on the big TVs in Times Square. It was a huge deal.
58% of all people watching TV that night were watching that show.
Insane.
That's
nuts.
nuts.
That's insane. That'll never happen again.
Ad revenue right there.
How would you have ended it, Josh? Do you have a pitch for the group?
Well, it was my pitch that this... I don't know if this is a good idea, but I think there's something to explore on he becomes the actual Jerry Seinfeld and he's actually successful or something, and it's a way for him to exit the show. I was thinking of some sort of ending, and I think Stevie's right. This would actually be terrible, but bear with me. Is he ends walking out onto an episode of the Tonight Show, or whichever one is the NBC one. Which one is the NBC one, Brett? Late Show or Tonight Show?
Jimmy Fallon one.
Yeah, but back when it was Letterman, and he walks out, and it's that's where Seinfeld cuts. But then Letterman that night actually has an interview with the real Jerry Seinfeld about how the season just ended. Yeah, That's where I'm at too. Let's go back to the finale. Pappy, can you get us from New York to Latham, Massachusetts?
Yeah. So, because NBC has picked up their show for like a 13-episode limited run pilot, they're also giving Jerry Seinfeld the use of a private jet. And he can fly this private jet anywhere he wants. So I guess it's like a one-time trip. And I think this is like where a lot of people have criticism too, because like this doesn't also feel like Seinfeld, like the multiple locations thing. But when they get in the private jet, Kramer has water in his ear, and he starts jumping around belligerently and goes into the cockpit and causes a disruption. They have to do an emergency landing in Massachusetts.
I don't know much about Seinfeld, but I know that Kramer ruins everything. Right?
Not
Isn't
like
he always
this.
doing some shit like
This
that?
Or
is-
George, but yeah,
This is
it's
hokey Kramer, dude. This
stupid.
is...
Yeah.
They're asking Michael Richards to do too much here. This is insane.
That's the thing. Everybody feels just slightly off from their
They
true
feel like
character.
parodies
It
of
doesn't
themselves.
feel
Yeah.
like
Yes, they do. It's
yeah,
like Ace
they don't
Ventura
feel
2.
right.
Yes.
It's too slapstick. And like one of the things that bothers me the most is I'm okay with George saying that he cheated in the contest. You know, that's fine. But what the fuck was Elaine gonna say to Jerry? Like,
I think she could say she always loved him, which doesn't really
that's so stupid.
make sense.
though. Like,
That's
yeah.
so dumb.
What is with that? Like they dropped that earlier in the episode. Like, oh, Jerry and Elaine should get together. Again, I don't know much about Seinfeld, so I
Might have
pose
just
That
this
been a
joke
question to
ran
you
every
guys.
season.
Earlier in this season, in the Serenity Now episode, they like almost get married. Like Jerry proposes to her when he's all zenned out, emotional.
Yeah.
Jerry, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't understand what they're trying to do with that.
What if it was the other way
That-
around? Would that have made it better or not? Either way, it's bad.
I mean, was
Like with
Seinfeld ever
Jerry.
like moonlighting? Was it about like the will they, won't they between Jerry and Elaine?
No,
was that ever?
they gave that
No.
up. They gave that up after the deal.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of the last time they were gonna have sex for the friendship, and they both kind of like get attached or whatever. And then like after that, it's pretty much nothing, right?
But Brett, don't act like there's no breadcrumbs and that fans didn't want something to happen.
That's true. I mean, because they are funny, but Corey, I guess you guys can back me up on this, but she was not supposed to be a main character. She was supposed to be like a one-off girlfriend early on, but people liked her. I believe like this show barely made it. Like the first season's 4 episodes? The second
It's
season's
not
like
great
7
either.
No, it's pretty bad.
My
But,
second
like,
least
she-
favorite episode's right in there.
Like they like she was not supposed to be a main character, so maybe that's why it didn't feel right, because they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but like they were way better as friends. So
Like Julia Louis-Dreyfus goes on to probably have the most successful post
Easily.
Seinfeld career, right? With Veep, and she won an Emmy for that, a couple Emmys for that, and like
Being part of the Hines family.
I think she's won Emmys.
She won
for
a
all
shit
3
ton
of
of
her
Emmys
shows.
for that.
She's
She's
in the
also-
MCU.
Yeah, she is.
She's also the richest person. She's going to be the richest person out of all of them.
I was gonna say she was
in
an
born
oligarch
like, into
family,
a billionaire
right?
family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hathaway or
Hines, the Hines family, right?
No.
no.
Are you
The
sure?
I
Rothschild.
think it's the Carries.
So
What is that? I'm trying to think now.
it's Louis Dreyfus Energy Services. He's worth $3.4 billion. Well, he's dead now, but and she's like the main heir of that. She's like the oldest. So
I haven't seen
But
much
yeah.
with Jason Alexander, but I have seen Shallow Hal, where he plays like exactly the same character as George. It seems.
with the tail, is he the one that has
He
a
has
tail?
a tail.
Yeah, but he has a tail. Like that is a difference. But he does seem to be kind of the same.
First of all, if you're Pappy, you're right if you're talking about TV wise, but to me, it's hard to kind of say that Jerry Seinfeld hasn't been super successful since leaving, but he just hasn't done a lot like on TV. Like I mean, he's like one of the highest paid stand-ups or whatever. And Larry David, you
yeah.
could argue. But yeah, Jason Alexander never really did much.
Well, I was going to
He
say
had a
that
show-
he's in one episode of Star Trek Voyager, and he's fucking awesome in it. It's called Think Tank. And he's this like super smart alien guy. He's like he's this group of like elite, like highly intelligent beings that have all come together to just like solve problems in the galaxy. They just like show up when someone needs them. And there's a little bit of a twist to it, but it's a decent episode of a not great Star Trek series.
If you want to get uncomfortable, watch him in Pretty Woman. Like, he's really good in it, but he is like a slime ball in it.
He's a little handsy, just a little.
Yeah. But he's so douchey at the end, but yeah.
He also had one episode of a failed pilot where he played Tony Kornheiser from ESPN of Pardon the Interruption fame.
Really?
Which is super random. But the only thing I was going to say was like, no, like Seinfeld's not about will they, won't they. Seinfeld's about Jerry just pulling baddies every week. A new one.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
rolling
Definitely.
through.
He's a real Dennis
It's
Reynolds.
insane. It's absurd. Like,
Well, they hit on that in the finale a little bit, right? Later on.
yeah.
But you did a great job, Pappy, of getting us to Latham, Massachusetts. What do you all think of this whole Good Samaritan situation that lands them in the slammer?
Takes me out of the show, man. I fucking hate this stupid concept.
Yeah.
To me, when I think of Seinfeld, and like their concepts in a show, I remember some of them. And the one that stuck out to me was when like George eats a pastry that's like on top of the trash, but not in the trash.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's funny. Like they talk about that. Like, is it appropriate or not to do that? But this is like jumping the fucking shark, dude. This whole thing of like, oh yeah, well, you're supposed to like intercede if someone is being robbed at gunpoint. And if you don't, you go to jail. Like the conceit of this is like so fucking unrealistic, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
if
it's
you
like
didn't
Good
have a
Samaritan
gun-
laws. Good Samaritan laws are a real thing, but it's not fucking this. It's a total different
It's
thing.
to protect the
literally
people
say-
that intercede, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
the opposite of what
basically.
happens.
The way they even say the law, by definition, they didn't have to help because of that. I mean, if someone's got a gun, you're not going to you're not going to
Yeah,
interfere.
you're not gonna
You
step
can't do
in
anything.
there.
You're putting 5 people in danger instead of just the one. I mean, it's ridiculous, but you know,
This doesn't.
Seinfeld.
This episode, this finale, this 2-part finale doesn't feel like it's a part of the show at all. Does that make sense? Like, I can't connect with this episode whatsoever. It just seems like an excuse to bring back people and show clips, and that like doesn't really make it a part of like what the show was. It's very strange.
After
It's like a mini
clip show,
victory lap.
After a clip show.
episode. It's so funny.
I think it's an attempt to write as little as possible because it's basically 2 episodes. This is an hour-long episode or whatever. I think he was just trying to get away with as little as possible. Old Larry David there.
That sounds right.
I don't know what else he would.
here I have something to maybe let them off the hook a little bit. If you're going to have a show that, I know this gets used way too much, but it's about nothing. The good thing about finales is they wrap up a lot of storylines, bring out a lot of things to a head that have been building. With this, you don't really have that because you don't have any continuity. There's a lot of great finales of shows, but they're the ones that bring all the things together that people wanted and have been waiting for. Like this, like what are they going to do? The only thing they could do was bring back Seinfeld, the show, and say, oh, they're going to get it. But as we all know, they weren't really going to get it because, like Stevie said, how did you characterize every episode? It's like what could have been, or no?
They're fleeting moments.
Fleeting moments, of
Yeah.
happiness. Like it's literally, they could literally win the lottery one episode, and by the end of it, they've all lost it because that's just how Seinfeld is.
But this finale like betrays being a show about nothing. It's like very much about something's happening in multiple locations and bringing back the cast. Like it.
I'm with you.
Like the culmination of all their actions has led up to this point now.
Right. Yeah.
Like it all actually meant something.
But it's also like a national story on the news.
But I think it's natural because of Jackie Childs, right? Like, he's a famous lawyer. So obviously, Johnny Cochran and everything, but...
The New York Four.
The New York Four. Jesus.
Too soon?
He's amazing, by the way, though.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Childs.
Jackie
He's
Childs?
one of my
Jackie.
favorite, like, Jackie Childs, sorry, yeah.
It even ends like weird. It ends with the lawyer guy just like being a hard ass saying, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to put these bastards in jail for the maximum amount of time or whatever. And then the episode just ends.
That's how the finale part one ends.
Yeah.
Because mine was just like one continuous.
Same. Netflix.
Yeah. Where'd you watch it, Mikey?
YouTube TV. The overpriced YouTube TV.
You did tune in for part 2 then, didn't you?
Yeah. I watched
Okay.
Yeah,
I was
it's
a
all
little
on there.
worried.
I was too. Okay. Yeah, did it almost seem like Mikey thought that was how the whole thing
Yes.
ended?
I was like,
That would have been a wild...
I know how the show ends. I've seen it many times. I hate this show, or I hate this episode.
Not only are we not doing a movie, we're doing part one.
Part 1 of the finale.
There's a little scene in here that I do like after. It might be one of the early scenes in finale part 2. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Mikey, but all 4 main characters are in the jail cell together, and there's some good lines here. I like it when George says, like, why would anyone help anyone else? Isn't that what nuns are for?
That's what the Red Cross is for.
Kramer says out of nowhere, the Samaritans were an ancient tribe, very helpful to other people. It's like, no, like what? It's not true either.
Yeah, it's like they're not even listening to each other. It's so weird.
Josh, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Like, we can dump on this episode pretty easily. This is an easy episode to dump on, but like, are there any moments that you like genuinely like, not just like cackled, but actually like laughed, like in this episode, like part 1 or part 2, that you thought were like genuinely funny?
Yeah, I think so.
I did.
You know what's weird is like some of the flashbacks actually made me laugh as much as we've been ripping on
Definitely.
like flashback
Yep.
episodes.
When he said "you old bag," that makes me laugh every time. Give me that, you old bag.
The one where he's wrestling the babka from Happy Gilmore's mom or grandma.
The marble
is just
rye.
So funny.
It's
Yeah,
the
the
marble
marble
rye.
rye. Sorry.
I had like 2 in-moment episodes that actually like made me like laugh, which was, I don't know, the way Elaine delivered that line made me laugh so hard is when the soup Nazi's getting, he's a cross witness or they're examining him, and he's talking about how she stole the recipes or shut down the shop, and she kind of does this throwaway line. She's like, yeah, they're not that good anyway. And he stands up, he's like, what did you say? Like, I genuinely laughed at that part pretty hard. And also when Susan Ross's parents like stood up and started screaming that George was a murderer.
So you were the doctor on duty the night Susan Ross died?
Yes, that's right. It was May 16th, 1996. I'll never forget it.
So you broke the news to Mr. Costanza. Could you tell the court, please, what his reaction was?
I would describe it as restrained jubilation.
Murderer! He killed our daughter. He knew those envelopes were toxic.
Order in this court.
Just because, like, Susan's, like, as much as I don't like Susan, the character, like, her parents' storylines, the Foundation, and the John Cheever letters always crack me up.
They always hated George, too.
Yes.
So in character for them.
It's perfect.
Isn't that the Marble Rye episode?
One of them, yeah. They're in one of those episodes.
There's a part where Susan's dad is just seen buying a gun.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It's like, what is he gonna do?
If they don't get out, like if they don't get sent to jail, he's gonna kill them. Is that what? But it's so weird.
Absolutely. Yes, he's getting ready to kill
Which is
George.
like super in character for the like Mr. Ross. Like as much like George has ruined Mr. Ross's life, to say the least. And that storyline actually does make sense, and it's hysterically funny.
Holy shit! Yeah, he burnt down his
cabin.
home.
Yeah.
Revealed the letters from John Cheever.
And arguably
Murdered his daughter.
Arguably.
Corey, are you doing your version of a Corey laugh at any point in this episode? I know you don't laugh out loud at this kind of stuff, but were you amused?
I like the moops thing. You know,
I love the moops.
I saw that episode, and I don't like that episode particularly with the Bubble Boy. And it's always weird in Seinfeld when they choose not to show a character and it's just the voice. It really is unusual, like the way they frame it. And they do that with Bubble Boy, and they do that with one other guy.
But they do that with Pigman too.
Steinbrenner too.
Yeah,
Steinbrenner.
But I think it is funny, like that George, like that's the hill he has chosen to die on. That like it's not a typo on the Trivial Pursuit card. That it is moops because that's what it says, and that's the fucking that's all it's gonna be, baby. It's moops.
Okay, history. This is for the gang. How you doing over there? Not too good.
All right, Bubble Boy. Let's just play. Who invaded Spain in the 8th century?
That's a joke. The Moors.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry, it's the moops. The correct answer is the moops.
Moops? Let me see that. That's not moops, you jerk. It's Moors. It's a misprint.
I'm sorry, the card says moops.
It doesn't matter. It's Moors. There's no moops.
It's moops.
Moors.
Moops.
Moors.
There is no moops. I love that line.
It's moops. So I think that's a good moment. But, you know, that's not from this episode, from the writing of this episode. That's just pulling from another one.
I thought there was some classic Elaine when she was calling George effeminate and annoying on the plane. And I don't know if that joke lives, like, ages well, but it's funny. I love it when she, like, puts George down. It's usually pretty funny.
Well, I saw people saying this, that they are bad people, but a lot of the witnesses who come up, it was actually just like a misunderstanding. Like they actually weren't being bad people in those situations. You know, like they're not some of them.
I mean,
yeah, but George wasn't really a communist. Yeah, that was
He
real.
was as pink as
But,
they come.
I mean, is it a crime to have a jerk-off contest with your friends? Like, who fucking cares? I think it's so stupid that came up in the courtroom.
Well, I'm actually reading about it. Like, you literally, the whole point of the trial is a character. You can't character assassinate someone unless they use that as, like, their defense, is that they have good character. So, like, literally none of that testimony would have been allowed.
Kylo, you don't remember the 90s? People were pretty uptight about sex stuff. I could see...
And communism.
Communism is much more acceptable these days.
We got to talk and linger a little bit on Jackie Childs, because when Stevie asked me...
He's the MVP.
When you asked me when I laughed, I would say most of the time it was him. Feel like he's really going all out for this episode, and I really appreciate it.
Excuse me? Excuse me, Your Honor. What is the point of this testimony? This woman's a low talker. I can't hear a word she's saying. So either get some other kind of microphone up there, or let's move on.
I wrote a little note about what his defense strategy is, and his main issue and way to defend these four main characters is that being innocent is the definition of being a bystander.
Oh, I love that speech.
Not a guilty bystander.
So he never argues about, like, they'd be in danger because it was a gun or they were, like, too far away to do anything anyway. He simply kind of, like, argues against the law itself a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys see that too? And just also, this is the time to just, like, chime in with general Jackie Childs stuff, because he is classic here.
I am shocked and chagrined.
Mortified and stupefied. This episode of Seinfeld is outrageous.
I love when Elaine's like, "How do I look, Jackie?" And he's like, "Oh, you're looking good."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just really funny. I can't think of anything he says because he uses all these really big words, but
He says they're real and they're amazing.
spectacular, yeah.
Spectacular, yeah. Terry
Which is-
Hatcher shows up.
They weren't real.
Terry Hatcher as a
Time.
fake rack.
At that point, yes.
What about on Lois and Clark?
Same time, right?
A few years earlier, I think.
She
Dude, I'm
didn't-
surprised
didn't have
he-
him, then she got him, and then she took him out. I think so.
Spy Kids?
I don't know.
Okay, Corey.
We got
Goodness.
Corey has to know.
Phil Morris, who played Jackie, I'm like looking through his IMDb, and it's like he was in one episode of Young Sheldon. He was in the Spider-Man video game, but like, I don't know, not a lot. I'm surprised he didn't go on to have like a better, I guess you should say more prolific career.
Who?
Because like, yeah, Phil Morris, who plays Jackie, like he's amazing. He's such
He
a
got
good
his
actor.
own. Didn't he get his own show playing Jackie?
Did
He's
Yeah.
got his own line of commercials.
I think he got his own show where they try to like have him play Jackie.
What was it called? Do you
What
remember?
the hell?
I want to say it was like a pilot spinoff they tried. It just didn't work.
That sounds outrageous. It sounds contagious. I love it when he rhymes his big words and then you're questioning if he actually knows the meaning of the big words that he's saying. It's pretty great.
Mr. Child?
I am shocked and chagrined. Mortified and stupefied. This trial is outrageous. It is a waste of the taxpayers' time and money. It is a travesty of justice that these 4 people have been incarcerated while the real perpetrator is walking around laughing. Lying and laughing. Laughing and lying. Do you know what these 4 people were? They were innocent bystanders. Now, you just think about that term. Innocent bystanders. Because that's exactly what they were. We know they were bystanders. Nobody's disputing that. So how can a bystander be guilty? No such thing. Have you ever heard of a guilty bystander? No. Because you cannot be a bystander and be guilty. Bystanders are by definition innocent. That is the nature of bystanding. But no. They want to change nature here. They want to create a whole new animal. The guilty bystander. But don't you let them do it. Only you can stop them.
I have a gigantic list. It's not that big, but I wrote down basically every witness that comes up. Brutally interrupt me if you want to say something about the witness as I go through. The first 2 witnesses at the stand are just the policeman who is there on the scene and also the victim of the crime. And they're not, from my knowledge.
Who is an amazing? It was an amazing stand-up comedian.
Oh yeah,
John Panette had a special called, I think it was called "I'm Starvin'," that is so hysterically funny. And John Panette was also a brilliant Broadway actor. He was in Hairspray for a really long time. I think he passed around 2014, 2015, but really, really funny stand-up comedian.
Yeah, I was going to save this for later, but I got bad news. There's a lot of people in this episode who are dead and been dead for a while.
Mikey, do you have the music queued up for later? Bee Gees, we'll get there.
Oh, the Bee Gees?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, the policeman and the victim, from my knowledge, they're not from previous Seinfeld episodes, right?
Right.
Okay. So then we start getting into the clip show aspect of this. Start off with Mrs. Choate, and this is Happy Gilmore's grandma. She was accosted by Jerry.
I didn't have any money. Yeah, she's dead.
Do you guys not love this freaking part? I love this old lady so much.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
Okay, we got Marla Penny, the virgin, and she has this line where she says, "They had a contest of who could go the longest without." Huge silence, gratifying themselves. And it's like the whole courtroom explodes because it's such a controversy.
I don't get that part. Maybe it's just me, but I don't like the contest episode at all.
Oh, really?
Like I wouldn't put that in my top 20 Seinfeld episodes. Not even close. I just don't think it's that funny.
What do you think? What are you thinking?
It's just not a funny episode. Like I don't understand why it's famous for I don't understand why it's famous.
I think it was cutting edge.
Yeah.
Right? For the time to do an episode about.
Nobody was talking about it.
True water cooler episode, this one, Stevie.
I guess, but I've watched it, within the past year, and it's still just not that funny to me.
Well, I remember little boy Josh from Goshen having a little talk with Joni about what this whole episode meant. She did not reveal to me the truth. I'll just say that. Let's move on.
I will say, Kramer
please.
slamming down the money and saying, I'm out. Like, that physical comedy is fucking hilarious. Like, that's what I think of from that episode the most.
I think of Charlie doing it on It's Always Sunny because he does that exact same thing.
Yeah.
And that's pretty funny.
Okay, we got the policeman, the victim, Mrs. Choate, Marla Penny, and then we got the bubble boy. We've already talked about the argument with Moops and cheating in Trivial Pursuit and deflating his freaking bubble. Then we got Lola, who I had to kind of search extra for her actual character name, but she was the one who's got injured or paralyzed and then was given a used crappy wheelchair.
Dude, when they cut to that shot of her going down, that is really freaking funny.
We got Susan's doctor. His name is Dr. Wilcox.
Love that guy.
I love it when he explains George's look upon learning of her death as, quote, restrained jubilation.
I really wish he was. I thought he was when I originally saw this episode, I was hoping he was going to bring up the Junior Mint. I love that episode.
Yeah, so many more episodes totally could have been brought into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And probably to Pappy's point earlier, probably better examples that aren't misunderstandings. But Sidra Holland, she was the one who was assaulted to see if they were real and if they were spectacular in the sauna by Elaine. And then we have classic Detective Joe Bookman, who revealed
funny. Oh my gosh.
He's great.
revealed to everyone how long Jerry's book was overdue. Terrible look for Jerry.
Listen here, wise guy.
That was my second actual laugh when he's like, what do you call that? A criminal.
We go into a quick montage where they don't have a back and forth. They just kind of say one-liners. And there's the woman who has the fire in her house, and George panics and leaves all the women and children behind, which is also a tremendous episode, one of my favorites.
Favreau special.
We have the security officer who caught Jerry peeing. We have the guy who thought Kramer was a pimp. We have the low talker who gave Jerry the puffy shirts.
Dead.
Whoa, we're not to your segment.
Oh,
yet.
Sorry.
Save it for the
Brett,
death
the music
corner, Brett.
hasn't got.
There's
not on
too
yet.
many. There's too many for me to go through.
No, there's not.
You'll do your best. Okay, that segment gets over, and then George Steinbrenner himself, owner of the Yankees, he just accuses George of being a communist in a court of law for whatever reason. We go in another. Yeah, go for it.
I know they don't show George Steinbrenner when George works for the Yankees, but that would have been an amazing get for this episode. If the real George Steinbrenner would have come on, why not? Who says no to that?
What if they would have had Larry David play him and show his face, and then have George Steinbrenner play Larry David?
Isn't he already in the show as the guy with the cape?
Yeah.
He's in the show a lot. He is George Steinbrenner, actually. Usually.
Oh.
I don't know if he is in this final episode.
Chaos does not work for the New York Yankees.
Wait, what do you mean? He's always been Larry David, right? I mean, George Steinbrenner. Larry David has.
Yeah. But if they would have shown his face as Larry David, but then had George Steinbrenner playing Larry David somehow, that doesn't actually make sense because he's not in the show. Never mind. Okay, we get to another montage. There's the guy who talks about the cockfighting ring. I guess he's a pharmacist who talks about Elaine's sponges. There's the guy who talks about I think it's a holiday card where Elaine exposes her nipple.
Yeah.
Pitt is there. He says that
Love
Elaine
Mr.
tried to
Pitt.
murder him with
Love
a pillow.
Mr. Pitt.
And I think
Ian
that was a
Abercrombie, right?
misunderstanding. And then
He was better than
finally,
Jay Peterman, to be honest.
we get to our final two. It's the soup Nazi. He talks about how Elaine stole his recipes, ruined his business. And then the coup de grace, guys. Babu. Seinfeld got him deported. It's a sad story. Everyone's sad about it.
Josh, want to hear some cool trivia?
Please.
The real Georgie Steinbrenner filmed a scene in George's office with Elaine for the season 7 finale. Upon learning they were going to kill off the character Susan Ross in the way which they were going to, he demanded he be edited out.
Jeez.
What?
Yep.
What a man of poor taste. What the hell is his problem?
He's dead.
Too many calzones.
It's a great sandwich, Georgie.
We shared a lot of sandwiches, Georgie.
Someone in his family lick an envelope and die.
Sorry if that was like a little bit like, I don't know, excruciating, me going through all my notes and hitting like every single witness. But
does anybody have a character they wish they would have brought to the stand?
Yes. Okay. So, oh wait, sorry. Somebody else want to go? I'm always talking, I guess. So, my 2 favorite side characters ever are Cedric and Bob, the Puerto Rican. I don't like do the quote exactly right, but people always like my.
Can you do the lisp?
I can do a quote. I don't know about the lisp, but he's like, "Is you talking to me? Because you talking to one of us. Who?
Have you seen
who
this
doesn't want to
armoire?
wear the ribbon?" Yeah, they're freaking crack me up, and this is like the most random line ever, but my favorite Seinfeld line ever is in The Chinese Woman, where he goes, "You're not Chinese." So I would have liked to have seen her, but
what about that marathon runner that Elaine can't wake up on time for his
Jean Paul?
marathon?
is he the one that's like, "You goodbye, you little bastard"? That guy.
Look at the little bastard.
He has a lot of gripes to get off his chest for sure.
I got the bad look from the wife with my Bob impression. So I apologize to any Puerto Ricans I offended. I'm the boss of one at work and he loves it. So, oh God, Brittany's telling me to shut up. So edit all that out, apparently. It's harmless. Good fun.
There's a little problem.
I'm surprised Kenny Banya didn't get up there. He's there in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Or
What does he? What gripes does he have, Pat?
If he would have said something like a soup is not a meal or something like that.
That's all he would have had to say.
Ovaltine, Jerry.
I can just picture the lawyer
gave him
being
a
like,
soup.
I can just picture the lawyer being like, he tried to buy dinner with soup. And everybody's like,
yeah.
It was Armani, Jerry, the best.
It's gold, Jerry, gold.
Oh man.
One person I really wish they would have brought on. I mean, I love those. I love the episode arc that he's on, but Crazy Joe Davola on the stand, I think would have been really funny.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Especially because he could have put the kibosh on Jerry's deal with NBC now. That'd have been really funny.
Kylo, as a non-Seinfeld dude, how did you take in this just kind of conglomerate of witnesses, this barrage?
I think the show is maybe celebrating itself a little too hard and not really trying to make something good in this episode. We've talked about that already, but it's doing a clip show without really doing a clip show. It's like half in, half out of trying to be a Seinfeld episode. And the ending aside, I just don't think that makes for a good episode. It's a bunch of stuff that I mostly didn't get in terms of the stuff the witnesses are talking about. So I don't think it works very well at all.
It does feel like a victory lap.
I can't imagine watching this as someone who doesn't watch the show and doesn't like it. It's got to be a fucking grind to get through, I feel like.
Corey texted me on the side and was like, "Can we do something else?"
Well, I asked if he wanted to switch over to doing a pod on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles instead. I figured I could, speak to his sensibilities.
I feel like I get that shit more than the way the show ended.
That's fair enough. But I do think as we get in here to the very end of Seinfeld, I think there's like a couple little things that are kind of interesting here. And the first one is when they're finally declared guilty, the setup and like the cinematography of the courtroom is just like pretty awful for all that. But when they do get sentenced, it's for 1 year, like very specifically. And I do remember there being kind of a time when this came out that it was like, maybe they will just take like a 1 year vacation and start the show back up.
You thought that was going to happen?
A lot of people did.
Well, they offered him $5 million an episode for season 10, and he said he didn't want it.
I mean, people still think Tupac's coming back, right? So people hang on to anything.
People like us, we gave up on that a long time ago. After 7 years.
I think it's hard to keep any good show going for this long. And, unfortunately, the sad reality is they all have to end at some point, even if it's well-beloved. Endings are hard to do right. It's hard to make everyone happy. It's hard to tie things up in a way where it's like, do things stay the same or do things end for these characters? I think this show is wrestling with that a little bit. But, every great show has to end at some point. It sucks. Even I think some of the best ones don't end on a high note. One of my favorite shows of all time, Sons of Anarchy, it does not end well, man. I think a lot of shows don't. We can probably think of many examples that don't.
Man, that was a weird show. I saw that too. I think the other like little thing here too is that there's like a little glimpse of maybe Larry David or someone in the writing room trying hard here, as the last conversation they show between Jerry and George is about the button on someone's shirt being in the worst spot. And that's actually the first conversation that George and Jerry are ever shown having in the pilot episode. That's kind of cool, right, guys?
Yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
Time is a flat circle.
They did that in that 70s. They did that in that 70s show as well. When they're smoking, they're talking about a boat that can fly on air. I don't remember what it is, but it's the same. It came around a couple times, but that was one of the jokes.
Well, I think they say something similar here in this finale, because I really like it when one of them says, "Have we had this conversation before?" I think we have. Maybe we have.
George. Yeah.
I think that's kind of cool.
I like it.
I don't like it at all. Like, if you do that in the context of a regular episode, it works. But this whole episode's been about looking back at the previous episodes. Like, it loses a little bit of that punch when it's just a glorified clip show. I don't know. It's lame.
Mikey, if we ever have another big gap like that, if you could just hit the Seinfeld music. Stevie, what do you think?
You guys are cutting out like crazy. Think of what? You guys have been cutting out like the past 2 minutes for me. Like, think of what?
Let's just move on.
The looping back of
looping back
first conversation.
I hate that shit. It's such
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Thank God.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense in
stupid.
the context of the episode. It's such a victory lap of he see what we did. That's nonsense.
Because the whole episode's been that already. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
All I said it's a glimpse. It's just a glimpse of what some.
It's bullshit, Josh. It's bullshit.
You're gonna linger on this part being bullshit.
The whole episode
rather than the mock trial.
I guess if you did a regular episode of Seinfeld and you end the series like that, then it's like, okay, that's okay. But
their first conversation, Jerry says, "Seems to me that button is in the worst possible spot. The second button literally makes or breaks the shirt." Look at it.
That's not even
too high.
funny though. It's
in no man's
observation.
land. You look like. Oh, I'm just trying to read the quote. It's in no man's land. You look like you live with your mother. And that's kind of how their relationship begins and ends in the context of this show. That's basically the episode, you guys. Do you have any final thoughts?
Can't forget him doing stand-up in front of all of the prisoners at the very end.
I did kind of want to forget about that, Mikey.
Can we talk about how the fact that, I mean, why are they in a max security prison with murderers?
Makes for better jokes, Brett.
Also, Jackie's taking this all the way up to the Supreme Court. Like, there's no way it's not getting appealed.
I agree.
This law is bullshit.
Also, if Jackie slept with one of the prosecution's witnesses, I mean, that could be a mistrial right there. So,
and he'd probably be disbarred.
George's mom tried to sleep with the judge.
That was a weird...
I don't know about tried.
Oh.
I don't know. He looked pretty angry, so he probably did sleep with her.
There was no sleeping going on, boys.
Yeah.
Can I ask something way off topic for a final thought, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
I was so relieved when you said this was on Netflix and not Peacock. Do you guys all plan on keeping Netflix? I don't know if you saw that Variety put out an article, and it's like a third of the people who had HBO Max have canceled it in the last year.
Why? Because
and a fifth of the people have Disney Plus. I don't know. I mean,
I already canceled Netflix and Disney Plus. I'm not watching shit on either of those, so I just stopped them.
I don't know. We kept all those.
Like, if this was on Peacock, I may have had to sit this podcast out or buy it on YouTube TV. Like, I was not going to get Peacock for this shit.
I only have Peacock because I have soccer. I don't know.
So what's your point? Do you like Netflix, Pat?
Well, I was wrong because I made a prediction a few years ago that like Netflix was in trouble once Disney Plus came out. But Netflix just seems to be this like giant trough of shit, and there's just so much content on there. Like, I think Suits is like the #1 streaming show
It was
in the
a
world.
monster when it came out, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like now again like the #1 show. It's like
Talk about a show that went downhill. Jesus.
Netflix just has so much content. Like, I didn't even know Seinfeld was on Netflix. I'll probably never get rid of Netflix just because it has so much. Like, Peacock's dead.
Was Peacock ever alive, though? You know?
It was on life support.
Peacock was never Netflix, you know?
How you going to watch Notre Dame versus Central Michigan without it?
StreamEast.com.
Yeah, that's the only reason I have Peacock is to watch Notre Dame and soccer.
Same.
I don't watch anything else on it.
Same.
I am not a golfer.
I can't believe that it's not on Peacock. That's insane. Just seems like that would be a layup for NBC right there.
I do have a final thought in that I did want to know kind of like Brett has his #1 character as Jerry. Do you guys have solid #1 characters, like your favorite? I was always pretty staunch as a George guy, but what about you?
Do they have to be main characters? Or they could be side characters.
You gotta pick one of the main ones.
The main 4?
Yeah.
I think Kramer's kind of funny sometimes, but I just hate that, like, he will ruin whatever is happening. So, like, that kind of bugs me. So Kramer's out. You know, George is pretty funny, but he's a rascal. It's like hard to, like, I think it's hard to, like, be totally on his side, you know, all the time. But he gets into some funny situations, and Jerry's a little bit more of a bland version. So for me, I guess George too.
I mean, main character Georgie Costanza for sure. B character Frank Costanza.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Frank Costanza.
Who's that? The Bushkins?
Yeah. Never let anybody else write your checks. Then
Take
C.
the pen.
C or C/D character be David Puddy. I think he's only in like 11 episodes.
Power Rangers villain David Puddy.
Don't wait for me.
Okay. Gotta support the team.
Yeah, it's definitely
probably
George and Frank and Kramer.
Yeah, George for me too. But I will say, now that I'm a little older, I really appreciate seeing Julie Louis-Dreyfus on screen.
That's weird, right?
I know.
Because I was like that too. I was like, when I was a kid, I don't remember noticing her at all. But now that I'm like officially like an old man, I'm like, she is one good-looking lady.
Putty's only in 10 episodes. Good call. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, there's like some mainstays you think that are in a ton of episodes, and they just aren't. Like,
Yeah, that was like a trivia question.
Yeah,
Wasn't Frank only in 20?
We were way off, 20-something.
Hey,
Like-
Brett,
He wasn't even the original Frank. Oh, stop
Brett,
talking.
can you please X out whatever list you're looking at right now?
Yeah.
Do you want me to stop? I had some more I wanted to kind of bring up.
I looked at it extensively today.
I'll just switch up my trivia somehow.
I never took a chance anyway.
Because like Mr. Pitt's only in like 11 episodes.
Listen,
Mickey I think is in 7 episodes. Like
Why-
it's wild.
Yeah, he's
Right.
just he's killing it right now.
Okay. No, you guys need to talk amongst yourselves so I can come up with another trivia.
Can we get, you know what would take some time? Can we get Brett's Death Corner?
Yeah.
I had to get my
Cue the
list
music,
down.
Mikey.
Let's go.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
All right, I guess. I mean, it's more of an unofficial list, but Frank Costanza dead, Estelle Costanza dead, Helen
So sad.
Seinfeld, Morty Seinfeld, Justin Pitt, the Judge Vandelay dead, Mabel long gone, the pharmacist super dead, Brian Doyle Murray still alive. That's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, Philip Baker
By
Hall's
super dead, what do you mean there?
Long,
Super dead.
just more than dead.
Like died in their sleep or hit by a semi. Like,
No, actually, you know what? Some of them are like lived a long time. I don't know who Henry Ross is. That's the dad. What's her face? Susan. Susan's dad dead. Philip Baker Hall, big spoilers guy. He died recently. He's a heck of an actor. He only died about 14 months ago. Wilhelm, who's that?
that's George's boss.
Oh yeah, he's dead.
Oh.
These are just people from the finale.
Yeah, like Uncle Leo.
I guess there's a lot of old people.
He's gone. Like I said, the low talker, surprising, gone.
Oh no!
Too soon.
No one could hear her cries for help.
Babs Kramer, gone.
Stevie.
Like you said, John Panette, Howie, gone.
Oh, he's the best.
Dr. Wexler's still alive, whoever that is. The guy who played the DA, who was in My Cousin Vinny, dead.
So many. Oh,
Why does
so
Geraldo Rivero sound like Al Gore in South Park doing Man Bear Pig?
Nah.
He was trying to find. You gotta remember, this is post Al Capone vault. He was trying to find an identity.
Poppy, rest in peace, dead.
Oh, Pappy.
I know. I like Poppy. I love when. Where's he pee? He pees on a couch.
Yeah.
Just a lot of dead people, guys. I mean, Larry David's still alive. That's about it, guys. There's some other ones, but
Okay, just finished writing trivia. Whew.
Also, speaking of dead, I just fact checked this. Maybe a Mandela effect, but the Chicago Tribune ran a headline: Seinfeld may be gone, but Jackie Childs lives, teasing the Jackie Childs show, but it never actually came out.
Right, he did some shorts in like 2010 as Jackie Childs.
Yes, I think Larry and Jerry are both going to produce that show, and it never got off the ground.
It could have been funny for a while, but I feel like it would have.
What was the show that Michael Richards did right after Seinfeld, where he's like a detective?
I just remember the movie. Wasn't he in a movie where he was a juror? I don't know.
I just remember his stand-up special.
Jeez.
What do you remember about it?
Him saying the N-word over and over again.
The 20 minutes before that, though, they were great.
Pappy, do you have the order for the Schneid, please?
Yeah. Okay. Josh, you picked the Seinfeld finale.
Okay.
Then I was the most recent host with Book of Henry.
Okay.
Before that was Stevie on JCVD.
Great.
Brett and In Bruges.
Yeah.
Corey Battlefield Earth.
Kylo.
And Mikey Upgrade.
That was recent. Okay, so for the first question, man, I had this whole sort this shit out planned with 10 Seinfeld characters, and you had to put them in order of most to least episode appearances.
I do that stuff all the time. It's good. I would have loved
I'm so glad that's not the trivia. What do we got?
Yes, so in order, this is just going to be to eliminate the two furthest away. Okay, so 3 people survive this first round. It's a simple closest to. Pappy, you're first. So we're going to go in that order. Mikey, you're last. And I will say this. You can say the same answer as someone else. Pappy,
Wow.
how old is Jerry Seinfeld right now?
Let's band together, guys.
67.
Stevie.
68.
Brett.
Yeah, I think he was born in 1946, 54. I'll say 67.
Showing his work, even though 2 people behind him still got to go. Kylo.
Showing his work.
If I get it exactly right, then it doesn't matter.
66.
69.
All right.
What did you say, Kylo? I'm just trying to write them all down.
66.
His wife is 30 years old.
His wife is 22 years old, but Seinfeld himself is 69 years old. Mikey hit it on the nose.
Let's go.
What are the 267s going to do?
Got some sort of rock, paper, scissors going on or anything like that.
Wait, how old is Jerry Seinfeld's wife?
Ooh, let's do that. Let's do how old Jerry Seinfeld's wife.
I got a better
Me versus
idea.
Brett.
Or what high school was she attending when he he asked her out?
I want you guys to tell me what Jerry Seinfeld's zodiac is. Brett, you have first guess.
Oh, gosh.
What?
No, Pappy has first guess.
So who's Scorpio?
No. Brett. Get him going.
I think he's a Sagittarius.
Nope.
Gemini.
Nope.
Aries.
Nope. Do you know anymore?
The fish one.
That doesn't count.
Pescado.
It's not right anyway.
Libra.
No. Fuck. This is not a good question.
I don't know.
This is a really bad question, Josh.
All right. What is your idea of
Aquarius.
how old is Jerry Seinfeld's wife? Back to that.
Yeah.
Pappy, you're up.
I'm going to say she's 45.
That's old for him.
Improv trivia tonight, boys. Okay, Brett.
I'll say 46.
Brett survives to the next round. She's 52.
Oh.
What was his sign?
Taurus.
Ah,
I didn't even... Like a Ford?
Like a
So-
Ford.
I looked up who just like chat GPT'd some stuff about observational comedy, and they listed Jerry Seinfeld with George Carlin and Richard Pryor as like the kings and like the true pioneers of that genre. So what I'm asking you guys for the final question, closest to gets the next movie. Choose any movie you want. We'll review it. You can also do that if you join Patreon. You can choose any movie and we'll review it if you join our Patreon at any level. But for us who've been on the pod for years and years, we have to win this trivia in front of you all. Here it is. Richard Pryor's age at death plus George Carlin's age at death.
Wow.
Pappy, you're out.
Get the calculator
Yep.
out.
Stevie, that makes you first, sir.
Thing is, I don't think Carlin was that old. I'll say 131.
Oh,
I didn't even know Richard Pryor was dead.
this is just straight up closest to.
It is.
I will say 135.
128.
122 and an eighth?
122 and an 8.
George Carlin was 71.
Damn.
Richard
73.
Pryor was 65. Which puts
Definitely
it,
me,
I
right?
believe, at 136. Brett
Almost him.
is the winner.
Nice.
You're off by 1?
Yeah. My math that I did was 73 and 62, so it's close-ish.
彼が別の世界線から来たっていう話は本当なのかも。だとしたら私はどうすれば。
Brett, go for it. You can say your movie, toss us out. I think we're good to go.
Okay, so as most people know, I'm not really big into horror movies, but I read about this movie a couple years ago. I'm intrigued by it. It's an A24 movie. Some of you guys have probably seen it. It is from 2015. It is the 2016 movie Green Room. Has anybody heard of that?
Yeah, Anton Yelkin.
Yep. I don't think we did it. Have we done it?
Didn't we talk about that, Pap?
Episode 12 is Green Room and Keanu.
Yeah.
So we haven't done it.
Crap.
We haven't done it in depth.
Pap went and saw Green Room. I went and saw Keanu.
Oh, my bad. I didn't.
We can do it.
We can do it. We didn't do it in
again.
depth.
Plus, we don't want
I
people
feel like
listening to those
we've
episodes
always
anyway.
said, yeah, what are those ones where we call them major spoilers?
Majors
you
and
s-
minors.
Would you discount any of those individual movies? I don't know. It's kind of like
No.
that same deal, right?
Movie game Green Room. I like it.
All right. You sure? I mean, I could do Predator 2, but Brittany will probably kill me if I pick Predator 2, so.
I don't think she'll like Green Room much more.
That's Danny Glover's best movie.
What about Gone Fishing? All right, so I guess if we're going to do
With Joe
Green
Pesci?
Room, yeah. So we'll do Green Room. I guess if we change, we'll figure something out, but
The Green Room episode was 15 minutes long, and we covered 2 movies. So I think we can probably...
That's pretty well covered, I'd say.
Talked about it to death already.
Played.
sarcasm, Josh, or should I?
No, go for it, man.
All right.
Totally.
All right. So that was. Did we do yes or no's?
I just thought it was a yes
I
from
think it's
everyone.
all no's.
I'll give it a. I'll give it a yes. I'll give it a yes. It's entertaining enough.
Hard no.
Did I
Hardest-
skip yes or no's? Holy
Yes.
It was
shit.
that bad. Josh skipped it.
I think it was just
God.
implied that it was gonna all be no's or
I'm giving it a
pretty
yes.
nasty no presents.
We can vote like a jury. Is this guilty?
This is life. This is life without parole.
Does anyone have a yes to give? Let's just put it that way. Kylo,
I'll give it a yes.
Not me.
So
Explain yourself.
No, we have to sit here and talk about it until we become a unanimous jury and convince
Oh
one
gosh,
word.
if it's gonna be that, then it's a no.
Got him.
Spoiled.
Guilty.
Nobody put this guy
Okay.
on a jury.
You heard it. It's 1 yes, 5 no's. That's fair enough for the Seinfeld finale. Brett, take us out, buddy.
Thank you for listening. That was spoilers.
Special thank you to our patrons, Matt Troll,
Took a shower today?
Yeah.
That's usually the kind of mood I'm in when I haven't showered.
Brother Brian,
When is it going to be my turn, Jerry? When do I get my 15 minutes?
Nephew Quinn.
I want my 15 minutes.
Oh, quit complaining. At least you have your health.
Nick.
Health's not good enough. I want more than health.
The Meg.
Health's not doing it for me anymore. I'm sick of health.
Nurse Stacy. The Wolf.
No, thank you.
Gale.
He wants to sit down with us and talk about Jerry.
PK.
A show? Jerry?
Right.
Jerry? Oh my God, he wants to talk about Jerry?
Yeah.
When?
Today, like right now.
Right now?
Spencer.
Jerry!
Jerry!
He wants to talk about Jerry!
He wants to talk about Jerry!
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 Marky 420.
About that, huh? Oh, boy, what a relief.
Swole.
See, now, to me, that button is in the worst possible spot.
Cheese Zombie.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The second button is the key button.
Sebastian.
It literally makes or breaks the shirt.
Dr. Lar.
Look at it. It's too high.
Stone Cold Austin.
It's in no man's land.
Druid King.
Haven't we had this conversation before?
You think?
I think we have.
Yeah, maybe we have.
If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast. Be sure to check out Corey's podcast, Big Dumb Movie. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is Podcast Spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song. Please support this podcast by leaving us an iTunes review. Leave us some stars and some words. Now you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Spoilers is now available on Audible, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Spoilers is now available on Audible.
I'm not very happy right now, but I'll get mine out of the way. This is Brett from Fort Wayne. My favorite's The Comeback. Next.
Why aren't you happy?
Why aren't you happy?
He hates Seinfeld.
Because Josh is a freaking a-hole. I'm tired of it. He said two things to me today, both really douchey.
What was the other thing?
We should talk about it.
I aired my grievances.
Yeah, let's
I don't
talk
want
about
to.
it.
No.
You might feel better.
I would love to know what the two things are.
I'll feel better once the episode goes on. Just move on.
Bunch of moops.
Serenity now!
They played Trivial Pursuit.
Serenity now.
I need some serenity now.
Let's keep moving east. Keep doing it, fellas.
I think I'm next, Eastus.
Would you like me to start over?
Yeah. Well, go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, Brett.
Let me start over.
All right.
All right, Josh.
Leave
kick
all
it
this
to me.
in.
Last thing I said was east to west, y'all can sort this shit out.
All right. I guess that's me. So this is Brett recording from Fort Wayne.
So what is the deal with the yard? I mean, when I was a kid, my mother wanted me to play in the yard, but of course she didn't have to worry about my next door neighbor Tommy sticking a shiv in my thigh. And what's with the lockdown? Why do we have to be locked in our cells? Are we that bad that we have to be sent to prison? In prison? You would think the weightlifting and the sodomy is enough. So, anyone from Cell Block D?
I am.
I'll talk slower. I'm kidding. I love Cell Block D. My friend George is in Cell Block D. What are you in for, sir?
Murder 1.
Murder 1. Ooh, watch out, everybody. Better be nice to you. I'm only kidding, sir. Lighten up. How about you? What are you in for?
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. Don't steal any of my jokes.
You suck. I'm gonna cut you.
Hey, I don't come down to where you work and knock the license plate out of your hand.
All right, Seinfeld, that's it. Let's go. Come on.
All right. Hey, you've been great. See you in the cafeteria.
That was Spoilers.